Now, today's episode is about infidelity, an experience that unfortunately most of us go through at least once in life, which is exactly why I know this will hit close to home for many of you. Now, as we go through these stories together, you'll start to notice some recurring patterns behind all this betrayal, like, for example, miscommunications or this feeling of being unlovable, or even cheating and not being able to deal with the guilt of it. And even on a deeper level, something called Madonna complex, where someone struggles to feel sexual desire for the person they love. And we're doing this for a very noble purpose. Maybe through these stories, we are not just learning about betrayal, we're learning to breathe, to choose peace. Because when we choose calm, we choose growth, we choose love. Anyway, here's this delusional main character syndrome having maniacal son of a bitch who opens the story about him cheating on a person that deems him the love of her life like it's fucking clickbaiting.
I cheated on my girlfriend of 2 years with an escort, and the only thing that saved me was a trip to Panera Bread afterwards. I'll never ever do it again. So this comes from True Off My Chest, where people can anonymously post confessions. So he's posting a confession here. So me and my girlfriend have been dating for 2 years now. I really love her, but I've had a sex addiction side to me that's taken over my life. Guess I don't really love her if I'm cheating on her, right? Well, after months of research, I wanted to meet this escort who I've been seeing online in ads. So I told my girlfriend goodnight and instead Ubered to the hotel where the escort is staying at. She was beautiful, but the whole time I was imagining my girlfriend. It wasn't the best experience. After we finished, I left, contemplated telling her, but didn't. So after I left, I Ubered to Panera Bread to get something to eat. My girlfriend knows I like going out to restaurants by myself. I actually prefer eating alone as I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I finish and Uber home.
Sir, you're not a fallen priest in a Coen Brothers movie. You're a guy who lied about having Panera Bread to make your story about cheating on your girlfriend more tragic and accidentally profound. You didn't just stumble into a life lesson about love over a broccoli cheddar bread bowl. You just committed betrayal, ate food, and manipulated yourself into yet another delusion. This whole confession stinks of lies and narrative editing. He knows what he's doing. It wasn't the best experience. I was imagining my girlfriend the whole time. He's reframing the cheating as a sad mistake made by a man who just loves too hard. Oh, he's not a liar. He's just haunted by how pure his love really is.
2 days later, she hits me with the, "So did you go anywhere of note 2 days ago?" I say no. She then pulls up Uber receipts from my email showing I Ubered to a hotel. I logged into my email on her computer a couple months back. I was shocked. I was caught, I felt ashamed, and I was shook. I didn't know what to do, so I did the worst thing possible. I lied. I said Uber took me to the wrong location, since I'd only been there 20 minutes before Ubering to Panera. She found that plausible, I guess. I gaslit her saying that she doesn't trust me and that she doesn't love me. That Ubering there was an honest mistake. She knows it wasn't an affair because she's been with me the entire month. It was just a quick 20-minute escort visit. She couldn't ever imagine me using a sex worker. So we argue, but ultimately we agree that I went to Panera Bread and came home.
And then comes the Uber receipt part, the one moment where the story could have shifted from fantasy to accountability, and he still wiggles out. And how? By fucking gaslighting. I mean, he got caught, and instead of coming clean, breaking down, or even shutting his mouth, he weaponized her love against her. He told her that if she really loved him, she wouldn't question the fact that your Uber stopped right outside an escort's hotel for 20 minutes.
It's been 2 months since then. I got an STD test and it came out clean. I want to love my girlfriend the way she deserves, although I know deep down I don't deserve it. But again, who said this world is just and fair? We're both extremely happy and in love. I don't feel much regret anymore. I hope we live happily ever after.
This is the part where I want to throw something out. I want to throw him out of the window. He's actually saying that, yep, I lied, yep, I cheated and emotionally manipulated her, but hey, I'm in love. Isn't that enough? He reframes the whole situation like a sad romantic gray area, when really it's pretty simple. He made a choice, he got caught. He didn't care enough to fix it, only enough to narrate it like he's the main protagonist in a slice of life anime. And the fact is that he is feeling so much guilt right now. He's feeling so much guilt that he has to put on this mask of, oh, I'm not even affected by the guilt. I don't even regret it anymore. I just think that this is a reasonable approach. And now he wants to convince himself, not us, that he walked out of there changed. But you don't become a better man by sipping soup after cheating. You just become a fool one.
My boyfriend, who's 23, cheated on me, 21-year-old woman, because he can choose who has access to his body. All right. I found out on Thursday that my boyfriend of 2 years was cheating on me for months with one of my childhood ex-best friends, a 20-year-old woman, and it has completely and utterly wrecked me. In all honesty, I don't know if I'll ever be able to recover from this. I loved and trusted him so much. Our relationship was literally perfect, and he had the nerve to cheat on me after telling me daily how he's never loved anyone as much as me.
There are people who will tell you they love you more than anything and still cheat on you. Not because they don't love you more than anything, but because sometimes they love you too much in the wrong way. There's a kind of love, and I know this sounds backwards, that makes a person feel like they are with an angel, someone sacred, someone pure and untouchable. And that kind of love kills their desire. They can't fantasize, can't, dominate, can't get messy in bed. Not if you feel like their emotional mother or some holy image of the one. So they split it. You become the altar, someone else becomes the outlet. I'm not saying that's what always happens, but if we take this story at face value that the relationship was perfect, that he really did love her, then that's the only way I can understand this kind of betrayal.
When I tried my best to formulate a coherent sentence and ask him why he would do this to me, he simply responded by saying, "I can choose who has access to my body." What? This has mentally fucked me up, and I still can't comprehend this situation. He texted me today that this doesn't have to end our relationship, and some paragraph asking me, why do I care when it's his body and not mine? I tried to explain to him that I valued him being faithful to me as a fundamental part of our relationship and not sharing his body with anyone else, as I would be faithful to him. Also, we never agreed to be poly or anything. He now says that he understands how much I value his physical body. I never said that, and will be fully aware of that going forward in our relationship.
That's not accountability, that's a man dodging the bullet with a mood board of fake empathy. It's like stabbing someone and then going, oopsie, I now realize how much you value the insightness of your organs. I will try to be more aware of that going forward. Like, dude, you cheated, not because you didn't know better, but because you chose to. And now you're trying to float away from the blame like it's a philosophical misunderstanding about who owns your body. No, your body is not the problem, your choices are. And using therapy speak to confuse the girl you hurt doesn't make you wise. It makes you dangerous.
I honestly don't think I can give him another chance though. I literally thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with him, but after what he has done, that's all out of the window. It's just tough because I can think back about how I never loved or cared about my ex-boyfriends to the level that I do him. And it almost feels like I do still love him, even after he completely violated me. Are there any reasonable ways that I can go about this from here?
She's not crazy for being heartbroken, she's not wrong for wanting fidelity, and she doesn't need to be gaslit into thinking her pain is just some insecure attachment to a man's flesh prison. She just needs someone who's honest and loyal.
Am I the asshole for calling the police on my fiance? Last night, this is a 35-year-old man, my fiance, who's 38-year-old woman, left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left around 7:45. 10:15 rolls around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home, so I called her to no answer. Texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry. Not answering my calls and texts not read. Around 1:45, I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing is the most important, so I didn't want to delay. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car, and the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the routes she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to see if she had been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours. Partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals, and secondly because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m., she came home. She apologized for being out and said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel, so she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyway because it was the responsible thing to do, and then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching, which they did. My fiance brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning. Cleaning de-stresses me sometimes. And I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him and asked why, and I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work, but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiance is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She is now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She is saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She is saying that she is never going to leave the house again except for work because she is afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days like she suggests? Okay, we have an update, of course. First of all, thank you to those of you who offered kind words and solid advice. This update is likely to disappoint some of you as it does me. My fiance and I have been fighting solidly since before I posted my last thread. It's been exhausting. I called her out on her obvious lie and she fumed at how awful I was for calling her a liar. From then on, it was as if she was falling down a smooth well, desperately clawing and grabbing at anything she could to blame me for. As she went deeper and deeper, I'm not a perfect man, but in this particular situation, I was an angel, so she had nothing to grab onto.
I don't know about you guys, but I usually feel very confident when someone wants to see if I'm lying. When I'm not lying, of course. But if I do want to lie, I'm gonna be as vague as possible. And if that doesn't work and they still question me, I'm gonna use the Hulk tactic. I'm gonna get angry, I'm gonna get aggressive, because nobody questions the Hulk. The key thing here is that truth doesn't fear clarity. If someone is telling the truth, they usually welcome the chance to clarify, to reassure, or even explain. Liars, on the other hand, rely on confusion, on emotion, and blame to maintain control of the narrative. Now let's see what she did. First of all, she avoided contact. Second of all, her explanation for this situation was very vague. Basically, she used these vague explanations to avoid committing to a version of events that could later be disproven. And when confronted, she got angry and flipped the script. She said that you embarrassed me at work. This is the Hulk tactic. She turned her husband's concern into her victimhood. And based on actual research, partners do this when they are hiding something like money problems, cheating, or emotional cheating. This is a classic hysterical tactic. When truth becomes unbearable, they attack the messenger. She also says that she'll never leave the house again, which is pure emotional manipulation. It's designed to guilt trip and silence further accountability. She's attempting to make him feel irrational or controlling, even though his concern was reasonable. So we can see that she is probably lying. The only thing that we don't know is why.
I did a lot of soul searching and I made a call that most of you will hate. I decided to bury the hatchet. I love her very, very dearly. I had no proof of a lie and I wasn't too concerned about what she was really up to anyway. Our relationship is open, so even if she fucked around, I didn't care much. Okay, that.
Okay.
She still fought with me though. The fight continued to the point where she broke up with me, but not really, which was a common tactic she had used before. I called her on it and she fought with me still. I asked for space for a night so I could sleep off the exhaustion, and she got upset and told me I was neglectful and selfish for not going to her and making up in person. I am stupid, I am aware of it. Even through all of this, I was apparently able to believe that what she said in emotion wasn't really her talking. Today I was having lunch. Money has been tight lately for some reason, weird. So I flipped through my wallet to find my credit card, which was missing. Well, you see where this goes. She had stolen it. She cited our desire to join lives together and merge finances, and that when I lent her my wallet once, she took it so she wouldn't have to bother me by asking again. This credit card is mine, under my name, and for emergencies only. She was using it for the last month and a half. While she has been decent enough to pay back some of it, there was still a $1,500 balance on it that hasn't been paid. She says that it's hers just as much as mine and resents me calling her a thief. A lot of the uses were spent at ATMs for cash withdrawals, and some interesting ones at the casino. Those of you who guessed gambling were probably right on the money. At that point, I admit I lost it. I am a very calm person, but there was only so much denial of reality that I could take. It's still blurry, but I said a lot of horrible things to her and am in the process of evicting her from my life. I am canceling everything that is in my name that she is a part of, including the new phone line, canceling her car insurance and reclaiming my car that I gave her and she has trashed. Apparently, I can handle lies, cheating, and secrets, but who knew theft was my line? Learning experience. Now thinking back, I can identify lots of sketchy shit that my love goggles blinded me to, but there's a pretty strict character limit.
This update really didn't go the way I expected. Part of that is because he left out a very important detail in the original post. The fact that they were in an open relationship. And now I'm wondering, was he deliberately changing the narrative to, get some validation, or was he, kind of ashamed of the fact that he's in an open relationship? If he was actually ashamed, then that probably means he didn't fully choose this. Maybe he agreed to the open relationship just to keep her around, not because it was something he was truly okay with. And this kind of behavior, it seems like a pattern. The pattern of him avoiding conflict, avoiding the truth, avoiding the moment where he might have to say no, to draw a line, or walk away when something clearly doesn't feel right. And most of all, a pattern of burying the hatchet, because he didn't just ignore the lie, he ignored what the lie meant. And honestly, that's understandable. You love someone, and to admit that she isn't who you thought she was means admitting that your whole relationship, everything you built, everything you hoped for, isn't what you thought it was. In that moment, it feels easier to bury the hatchet. Now that's the most interesting part, the structure of the relationship itself. Both of them clearly have issues with the idea of limits. She constantly tests them through lies, through secrecy, through gambling, even stealing. And he constantly refuses to enforce the limits. He accepts, he forgives, he delays, he avoids. She does what she wants, and he lets her, because holding her accountable might mean losing her. But looks like that has a limit too. When she took his money, when she crossed that final line, even he couldn't protect the illusion anymore. Now, the fantasy has collapsed, and the relationship, which was built on looking the other way, cannot survive that.
All right, next one. Am I the asshole for laughing at my brother's tattoo? I guess there's cheating involved, maybe? This is a pretty cut and dry scenario. This is a 32-year-old man. My little brother, who's 25, has been in a string of relationships since he was young enough to know what dating was. On several occasions, the relationships ended because he was caught cheating with another girl. These are just the ones that I know about. There could be more. In fact, his current girlfriend, who's 19, was the other woman from his previous relationship. He, I'll call him Danny, still lives with my parents, and I headed over on the 4th for barbecue. When he reached out for a hug, I noticed his arm was super red, and he showed me his brand new tattoo that he had literally just gotten. In huge words, it said, "Loyalty," in cursive. Where I might be the asshole is that I kinda laughed as soon as I saw it and didn't try to hide it at all. It wasn't a dramatic laugh. He said, "What's so funny?" And I just said his tattoo was really ironic. He got pissed and stormed off to his room and didn't join my parents and I, plus our sister, for dinner. I told them what happened, and they said I was being an asshole. And my sister said people are allowed to change. I personally think he's acting like a child by locking himself in his room, and that I shouldn't be blamed for a 25-year-old storming off.
He probably felt awful for what he did, about the betrayal. He likely had such an overwhelming sense of guilt, one so intense that he couldn't even face it himself. So he buried it. He pushed it so deep down into the unconscious that even he couldn't see it anymore. But when you repress something like that, it doesn't go away. It still has power, and it starts to shape your decisions without you even realizing it. And the decision to choose loyalty as the word to put on his arm was not random, and absolutely was one of those unconscious decisions. It was a symptom of that repressed guilt. It was a way to distort reality, not just for others, but mainly for himself. Not to fix the truth, but to bend it into something he could live with. That's why when his older brother, this authority figure, sees this and laughs at him, it's like it's shattered. Because that laugh was not just he wasn't just making fun of him. He wasn't even only judging him. It was like a mirror. It reflected back the lie he'd been trying so hard to live inside. It must have felt like his brother smacked him on the face and said that you are not that loyal man you think you are. And that's why it hurt so bad. That's why he backed off and left, because someone shoved the truth in his face and showed him that just how massive the gap is between that tattooed word and the flesh and bone it's inked to. Like literally the gap is so wide it's laughable. And he can't handle it, so he runs. OP here isn't the asshole. He just held up a mirror to a man who couldn't face himself. But still, I do think that moment could have been handled or even communicated more gently.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
21-year-old guy. My girlfriend, who's 23, is currently working a food truck at a music festival this weekend, and I think she's cheating on me. I'm losing my mind. My girlfriend Stella and I have been together for a year now. I love her so much it's stupid, and this situation has brought such a crazy amount of anxiety. I had a full panic attack yesterday because of it. She had the opportunity to work on a food truck this summer, which has allowed her to get into a few festivals for free, and I hate it so much. One of the guys she works with is an attractive dude who's in his late 20s, and I'm convinced they're sleeping together. The group for this current trip is my girlfriend, another girl about the same age, the older guy, let's call him John, and the couple that owns the truck/business. We ran into John in public once, and Stella introduced us, but the way they looked at each other made me feel so uncomfortable. She lit right up when she saw him. And now they're at this festival, and all five are sharing a tent together, and it makes me sick. Before she left, I brought this up, and she reassured me again and again that it's nothing at all, and she's there to work. When he picked her up to drive to the festival, I helped her carry a bag, and he didn't even get out of the car to talk to me. Just gave me a measly, "Hey dude, how's it going?" while she got into the passenger seat, and it just pissed me off. She also seemed so off when she hugged and kissed me goodbye in front of him. Yesterday, I was texting her, and she barely ever replied. She basically ignored me all day, and it made me so sick. My friend told me she's probably cheating on me based on her behavior. She ended up texting me in the evening before bed, but it's the same deal again today. Barely replying at all, and she spent the night in the tent, which made me nauseous to think about. I didn't sleep a wink.
Okay, so this guy, 21, insecure, very much in his first relationship, is convinced that his partner is sleeping with her coworker because the guy is attractive. That's the first fact he throws down. He's hot and in his late 20s. There's no behavioral evidence, no odd texts, no emotional distance. It's a mix of confirmation bias and emotional reasoning. It's all about his emotional interpretations, not her intentions or behavior over time, which is already not a good sign, and it shows me that he believes love is conditional and fragile. And in my experience, people who have this belief try to protect their love through control, not connection.
Absolutely convinced she's cheating on me. I don't trust her behavior at a music festival, nor do I trust the people there, especially John. I feel so insecure and scared that she's going to cheat on me. She has a couple more more food truck weekends to work at other events, and I don't want her to do it anymore. I want it to end now. How can I convince her that her working the truck is f***ing with my mental health so she stops? How can I get her to stop talking to John? How can I know for sure she's cheating on me? He made an edit here, adding some justification to my feelings.
Edit.
I know this sounds a bit controlling, but she never wears makeup, and I saw her on her Instagram story that she's wearing makeup. I do think this girl is way out of my league, and she's my first girlfriend. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I don't like when she does that, and she knows that. Also, John was in a relationship up until a few days before this festival, so he's probably trying to rebound, as guys tend to do. Obviously, my girlfriend would be a solid option, and I've been to music festivals. People are crazy, girls have their tits out, and guys are maniacs. Why would this situation be any different?
This is actually heartbreaking. It's a very honest window into what happens when insecurity turns into control and love becomes like this surveillance thing. What's terrifying here is not just his suspicion, it's the way he's trying to kind of reshape her life to match his insecurity. He's turning his anxiety into a demand. Instead of managing his feelings, he wants to manage her freedom. Like he says that, how can I convince her that working the truck is messing with my mental health so she stops? He's not saying, I want support while I work through this. He's saying, I want you to change your life so I feel okay. He just wants to kind of eliminate the triggers that make him anxious, so that the pain would go away. But the triggers aren't the problem. Her wearing makeup, talking to John, going to work, those are not betrayals. His trauma probably is what's generating all those triggers, all those danger signals. In response to someone's comment asking, have you been cheated on in the past? He said,
Oh, but my parents' divorce was because my dad cheated on my mom. I have a half-sister in France I've never met. It fucks with me.
and this comment unlocks the entire story because suddenly the fear isn't just about his girlfriend or John or festivals, it's about his mom. It's about being the child of a betrayal so big it broke a family in half. It's about growing up with this belief that love is conditional, that people cheat, and that you are not safe. In a therapy setting, this is when a therapist might say that you are not reacting to your partner, you're reacting to your dad. And that might make him cry all over again, but in a way that unfreezes that fear, which might help him work through it.
All right, next story. I wish my husband would cheat on me. I, a 28-year-old woman, have spent every day for the past year wishing my 27-year-old husband would cheat on me so I had a valid out.
Oh. Ouchie, wouchie.
I hate being married. My husband would rather spend time with his brothers and parents than with me. We've been at his parents' house for the past 3 weekends. Once we leave there, he gets on video games with them until all hours of the night. I haven't been to bed with my husband in weeks. Sex is non-existent in my marriage right now. It's not just about the sex. He complains about me all the time. To my face and behind my back, I've overheard him telling people that I'm annoying or that I nag a lot. I don't feel like I ask more than any other wife. I don't get home until past 7 most nights because I have to pick up the kids, and I don't ever ask him to pick them up or to make dinner. I asked for him to help clean up the house and to help me put one of the kids to bed. He only willingly put one of the kids to bed. My house hasn't been
And the other
clean.
one, what happened to the
He's
other
just like,
one?
My house hasn't been clean in months. He just will not do chores. He ran out of clean underwear a few weeks ago and told me it was my job to do laundry, essentially blaming me. The man also refuses to take care of himself. He complains when I cook because I'm trying to cook healthy meals, and he doesn't like vegetables. He won't go to the gym with me, but instead insists on playing video games. Obesity runs in his family, and I'm trying my best to encourage a healthy lifestyle change. I know he's depressed, but he won't talk to someone or get on medication. It doesn't matter how I try to encourage him. He would just rather suffer.
She knows she's unhappy. She knows she's doing everything, the kids, the dinners, the laundry, the mental load. She knows her husband is basically a third child with a gaming addiction and a weird attachment to his mom. But now she wants closeness. She wants a partner who shows up, who helps. She wants a man, not a son. She wants to be looked at. She wants to be touched, listened to, not just managed around. But she still doesn't think that's enough. She doesn't think her reasons are real enough because no one hit her. No one screamed or threw a plate. No one cheated. So instead, she hopes he'll cheat. That way she won't have to argue her case. She can just point at the wreckage and say, see, look, I'm allowed to leave now. But she's stuck in this weird spot where she can't even say that out loud without feeling like she's being dramatic or ungrateful or too much.
All this to say, I don't feel like it's a good enough reason to get a divorce. I'm unhappy in my marriage, but it can be fixed. Both parties be willing, of course. He's just not willing. I just wish he'd cheat on me, so I felt like I had a valid reason to get divorced. At this point, it wouldn't even hurt me that much. She also says, I was raised extremely religious. Leaving without a good reason, i.e. cheating, is very frowned upon. I guess I still have that pounded into my head, and that is why I don't feel like my reasons are good enough.
It's so clear how much she's been trained to never be the villain. She's overly terrified of being the bad one, of being the wife who walked away from a fixable man, a fixable marriage. Like she's only allowed to leave if he fucks up publicly. Like her private agony doesn't count unless it's stamped with betrayal. And I think that religious upbringing that she pointed out herself has a big part in this kind of behavior. This kind of belief that if you're the woman, you should stay, you should forgive. You don't give up on your family, you carry it, even if it's killing you. So yeah, she's not asking for a miracle. She's not asking for ecstasy. She's just asking not to be alone next to someone anymore. And I hope she finally believes that that is a good enough reason to leave. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.